14-year-old Alina Rivera never saw the truck coming. One moment, she was scrolling through TikTok in the back seat, rain pounding against the windows. Then everything went black. Her heart stopped for 12 minutes, but death wasn't the end. What she saw on the other side would shake her to the core. A room of glowing screens, shadows whispering lies, and a message from Jesus that would change everything. This is not just a near-death story. It's a wake-up call for an entire generation.
My name is Alina Grace Thompson. I'm 14 years old, and I live in a small town called Willow Springs, just outside of Portland. I'm in 8th grade. I play volleyball, and if you asked anyone who knew me before October 12th, they'd say I was just a normal teenage girl. I liked hanging out with my friends, doing TikTok dances, and spending way too much time on my phone. Honestly, I was always on it, scrolling, watching, snapping, whatever. I didn't really think about it. Everyone does it, right? That day started like any other. It was a Thursday, cloudy and rainy like it usually is in Oregon. My mom was driving me to volleyball practice after school. My little brother Noah was in the back seat next to me, glued to his Nintendo Switch. I remember I had my AirPods in, half listening to music while scrolling through TikTok. I was watching this girl do a new dance trend. I was trying to memorize the moves so I could post mine later. My mom asked me more than once to look up directions because the rain was so heavy she couldn't see the road signs clearly. I kept saying, "One sec, almost done." But I wasn't really paying attention. Then it happened. I didn't see the truck coming. I didn't even look up. I just remember my mom suddenly yelling my name and slamming on the brakes. I heard Noah drop his game and scream. My phone flew out of my hands. The world turned upside down. The SUV hit something, spun around. I heard the loudest crashing sound I've ever heard in my life. Glass shattered, metal twisted. I remember hitting something hard, then nothing. Black. Silence. But it wasn't the end. The next thing I knew, I was floating, above everything. Above the car, above the road. I saw the twisted mess of our SUV down below. Rain was still falling, but I couldn't feel it anymore. There were flashing lights, an ambulance, police cars, fire trucks. People were shouting, running. I saw a firefighter pulling someone out of the back seat. It was me. My face was bloody. My leg was bent in a way that didn't look right. I was wearing my favorite blue volleyball shorts. My mom was screaming, being held back by a paramedic. Noah was already inside the ambulance, crying. I tried to shout to them, but my voice didn't work. "I'm here. I'm okay. I'm right here." No one heard me. Then everything started to fade. The sirens, the rain, the wreckage. It was like someone turned the volume down on the world. A light started to shine around me, soft but bright, warm like the sun in the middle of July. I wasn't scared, not even a little. I felt peaceful, almost weightless, like I was being drawn somewhere. I didn't know what was happening, but somehow, deep inside, I knew this wasn't the end. Something was just beginning. As I moved through the light, it felt like floating in the warmest place I had ever been. I wasn't walking or flying, but I was moving. The light wrapped around me like a blanket. I didn't feel afraid. I didn't feel hurt anymore. I didn't feel like a 14-year-old girl who had just been in a car crash. I felt free. Then I saw him. It's hard to explain what he looked like because he didn't look like anything I'd ever seen before. It was Jesus, but not the way I had pictured him from the paintings in church or the storybooks. He wasn't pale or sad-looking. He was full of light, like light was coming out from inside of him. And even though I couldn't see every detail, I could see his eyes. His eyes were the kindest, deepest, most powerful eyes I've ever seen. They looked right into me. Not just at me, but through me. And somehow, even though I suddenly remembered every mistake I had ever made, every lie, every mean thing I'd said, every bad video I had watched, he didn't turn away. He wasn't angry. He didn't shame me. He loved me, fully, completely, like he had always loved me, even when I had ignored him. He said my name, Alina. It sounded like music, like a note that had been waiting forever to be played. I started crying. Not the ugly kind of crying. It was different. I felt like every part of me was being seen and loved at the same time. I didn't feel judged, just known. Am I dead? I asked him. He nodded slowly. For a little while, he said, but I have something to show you. He reached out his hand, and I didn't even hesitate. I took it. The moment our hands touched, we were suddenly somewhere else. At first, I thought it was space or a dream. It was a giant room, or maybe not even a room, more like a space that went on forever. All around us were floating screens, thousands of them, maybe more. Each screen showed a kid. Some were around my age, some younger, some a little older. All of them were staring at phones, tablets, or computer screens. No one looked up. Not one. What is this place? I asked him. He looked heartbroken. Not angry, just deeply sad. This, he said, is what I see every day. These are the children I love, but they can no longer hear me. That's when I realized I was looking at the world, but through his eyes. He held my hand tighter and said, I need you to see what I see, Alina. Because if they don't hear the truth now, they might never hear it. My chest felt heavy. I didn't know what was coming next. But I knew one thing. My life and my heart were about to change forever. Jesus and I walked through that space filled with floating screens. It felt endless. Thousands, maybe millions of glowing rectangles surrounded us, each one showing a child or teenager. They were all hunched over, locked into their phones, tablets, or computers. Some looked bored, some looked empty. But the scariest thing was that most of them looked like they were completely alone. Even when they were in rooms with other people, they weren't really with anyone. As we got closer to the screens, I started noticing something I hadn't seen before. Around each person were these dark, shadowy figures. They weren't touching the kids, but they were whispering. I couldn't hear the words at first, but I could feel the lies in the air. The figures didn't have faces, just shapes, like smoke or fog. But I knew they were evil. I could feel it. What are those things? I asked, standing a little closer to Jesus. He looked at me, his face full of sadness. They are the enemy's messengers. They speak lies through the screens, lies about identity, lies about worth, lies about love. We stopped in front of one screen. A girl about my age was lying on her bed, scrolling through Instagram. Around her neck was a heavy chain, and at the end of that chain was her phone. Every time she swiped, one of the shadow figures added another link to the chain. Her name is Emily, Jesus said softly. She compares herself to the filtered pictures she sees every day. She believes she's not pretty enough, not thin enough, not popular enough. She thinks she has no value. I watched as Emily's eyes filled with tears, but she kept scrolling. On the screen, the shadows whispered in her ears, "You'll never be enough. Everyone's happier than you. You don't matter." My heart broke for her. I used to feel like that, I whispered. I remember crying in my room because I didn't get invited to a party. I kept looking at posts all night, making myself feel worse. Jesus nodded. You're not the only one. These chains are everywhere now. The more they scroll, the heavier the chains become. They don't even know they're being trapped. We moved to another screen. A boy, maybe 12, was playing a violent video game. His eyes were red. His face was pale. The shadows around him grew bigger every time he got another kill in the game. His fingers moved fast, but his expression was empty. His parents walked past his room, but they didn't stop. He hasn't slept more than 4 hours a night in almost 3 years, Jesus said. His anger is growing. His heart is becoming numb. He doesn't even know it's happening. I thought about my little brother, Noah. How angry he had gotten when my mom made him turn off his game last week. He'd even thrown the controller at me. Jesus took me through more screens. I saw kids laughing while sending cruel messages. Girls posting pictures just to get attention. Boys watching violent and sexual videos with blank stares. On every screen, the shadows were busy, whispering, feeding the addiction, growing stronger. Finally, Jesus stopped walking. He turned to me. "Alina," he said gently, "do you know how much time you've spent looking at a screen in your life?" I froze. I'd never thought about it. He raised his hand, and suddenly I saw an hourglass. But instead of sand, it was filled with little glowing moments. Each glow was a minute I had spent on a screen. It poured through the hourglass like a waterfall. 8,422 hours, he said. That's over a year of your life. I felt sick. All that time, gone. I saw flashes of myself, ignoring my grandma while she told a story, scrolling through TikTok instead of watching the sunset, brushing off Noah when he asked me to play. Jesus looked at me, his voice soft but firm. The enemy has found a way into every home, every bedroom, every heart, and no one is paying attention. Tears welled up in my eyes. "I didn't know," I whispered. "I know," he said, "but now you do, and there's something you need to see next." He reached for my hand again, and everything around us began to shift. When Jesus held my hand again, the screens and shadows faded. Everything became quiet. Still. Then, almost like we were walking into a memory, the space around us changed. We were no longer in that floating room. We were in my house. But it wasn't just one moment in time. It was like we were stepping through the most important moments of my life, all stitched together. I saw myself sitting on the couch, maybe 10 years old, while my grandma tried to tell me a story about growing up in her village. She looked excited, like she wanted to pass something on to me. But I wasn't listening. I was on my tablet, watching funny videos. I didn't even look up. Then I saw another memory. I was outside, maybe 12, sitting on our front steps. The sky was full of colors, orange, pink, soft purple. It was a beautiful sunset. But instead of watching it, I was taking selfies, adjusting my face, adding filters, trying to get likes. The sunset ended. I didn't even notice. I saw myself in the kitchen, Noah asking me to come play with him. He was holding a board game. He looked so hopeful. But I said no. I was in the middle of watching something. He walked away slowly, his shoulders drooped. I covered my mouth with my hand. "I didn't know it mattered that much," I whispered. Jesus looked at me with so much compassion. "Alina, every moment matters. These were chances to love, to laugh, to listen. But the noise from the world drowned them out." Then he showed me something that hurt even more. It wasn't just what I missed. It was what he had tried to give me. I saw myself lying in bed late at night, crying into my pillow after a fight with my mom. I had felt so alone. But in that moment, I saw something new. His presence. Jesus had been right there beside me, reaching toward me. He had wanted to comfort me, but I had picked up my phone and scrolled instead. I saw him standing next to me when I was walking home from school alone, when I was feeling left out and invisible. He had been there too, ready to speak peace into my heart. But I was too distracted. Time after time, he had tried to reach me, and time after time, I had chosen a screen. The enemy doesn't have to destroy you, Jesus said. He just has to distract you, and he's done it well. By now, tears were streaming down my face. I didn't know. I'm so sorry. Jesus stepped closer, his voice kind. This is not about shame. This is about waking up. And now that you've seen the truth, I have something more to show you. What your life could have been, and can still become. He pointed, and I turned to see something that would break my heart all over again. What Jesus showed me next was so simple, but it hit me harder than anything else. We were back in my house. It looked almost the same, but this time something was different. I could hear laughter, real laughter, the kind that fills a room and makes you feel safe. My mom was baking cookies in the kitchen. My dad was sitting at the table, not on his laptop, just watching her with a smile. I saw myself and Noah playing a board game on the rug. No phones, no TV, just us. Together. Warm light filled the room. Outside, it was raining, just like the day of the accident. But inside, it felt like peace. This could have been tonight, Jesus said softly. If the phones had been put away. I couldn't stop the tears. I didn't know. I didn't know we were missing this. He placed his hand on my shoulder. Most people don't. Then he looked me right in the eyes. Alina, your time here isn't finished. You have to go back. You have a message to share. My heart dropped. I don't want to go, I whispered. I want to stay here, with you. He smiled gently. I'm always with you, but your family needs you. The world needs to hear what you've seen. Will they believe me? I asked. Some will, he said, and that's enough. Even if one person listens, it can change everything. He stepped forward and touched my forehead. And just like that, I was falling. Like being pulled backward through a tunnel of wind and light. The warmth faded. The peace turned into pain. Beeping. Voices shouting. Bright white lights. She's back. We've got a pulse. I gasped like someone had slammed air into my chest. My whole body hurt. My leg was numb. I couldn't speak. There was something down my throat. But I could hear my mom crying, my dad calling my name, nurses rushing around. I had been gone for 12 minutes. The doctors said it was a miracle. They said I should have brain damage, but my scans were normal. They couldn't explain it. But I could. Jesus had sent me back. Weeks passed before I could talk about what I'd seen. At first, I was scared no one would believe me. But I couldn't keep it inside. Something had changed in me, and everyone could see it. My first night back home, I asked my family to put their phones in a basket. Then I told them everything. About the shadows, about the chains, about the time we're losing, and about Jesus. That night, we played a board game, and we laughed. It's been 5 months since the accident, since I died for 12 minutes and saw Jesus, since I was shown what we're all missing while our eyes are glued to glowing screens. At first, it wasn't easy to talk about. Some people rolled their eyes. Some thought I was just traumatized or confused. Even some of my friends stopped hanging out with me after I asked them to put their phones away during lunch. They said I was too deep now. But I kept talking, because what I saw wasn't just for me. It was for you. The truth is, we're living in a world full of noise. Everyone's connected, but no one's truly listening. We scroll past real moments, We trade real friends for followers. We post smiles while crying alone. And slowly, without even knowing it, we let the enemy use our screens to chain our hearts. Jesus showed me that. He showed me the shadows behind the apps, the lies and the filters, the chains built from every mindless swipe, every comparison, every hour we trade for empty content. And he asked me to say something. So here's what I came back to say. You are more than your phone, more than your follower count, more than the way you look on a screen. There's a voice calling to you, but you won't hear it in the noise. You have to turn it off, put it down, look up. Because Jesus is speaking. He's always been speaking. But we've been too distracted to notice. Parents, your kids need you. Not more screen time, not more content. They need you to lead, to set limits, to show them there's more to life than digital noise. Teens, if you're like me, maybe you've already felt it. That strange, empty feeling after hours online. That sadness you can't explain. That loneliness in a world full of connection. It's not just you. It's real. And you can break free. You don't have to wait for an accident or a hospital bed or a miracle to change. You can choose right now. Put down your phone. Look at the people in front of you. Feel the wind on your face. And most of all, listen. Because Jesus is still speaking. And he's waiting for you to hear him.